So we meet again this semester. Our objective this semester is to look at data governance, policy, and regulations. And what we'll be doing is that we will be studying this topic with three faculty. I myself am leading the cohort 5, cohort 2, and cohort 4. And then you have Dr. Professor Usu doing cohort.
Hello.
Dr. Usu doing cohort I think 1 and cohort 3. Whilst I'll be supported by Dr. Jonathan Bano for the cohorts that are listed on the slides that you as you see it. So I'm doing cohort 2, cohort 5, and cohort 4, if I'm right. Yeah. So those are the ones that I'm doing. The dates, the time for the meetings are well specified out there. Okay, so what is the course about? You have learned about data in the previous semester, but this course is about the policy and management of data so that we can ensure its availability, usability, integrity, and security. And then we can also make sure that it is not um it's not easily amenable, it's not easily altered without the appropriate permissions. So what we'll be doing is to understand the technical and then procedural measures we can put in organizations to make sure that at the time that we collect data, we process the data, store and manage the data, we're able to ensure this principles of availability, usability, integrity, and security. Hold on. Okay, so what we'll start with today is the introduction to data governance, then governance frameworks, management policies, regulatory landscape, and we all through to the governance of big data and AI. But we'll also intersperse this class with some best practices and case studies, and sometimes I also invite guest speakers to come and speak to us. So as much as possible, I will arrange some people to speak to us to be able to learn from the real world. Okay. And then the next thing that we'll also do is that we'll have some group work activities so that we can use it to be able to enhance our knowledge on the area of study. So that's just basically the preliminary introduction to the course and the little background I'm supposed to provide to you. Now, continuing, I'm going to share the slides for today. I was just sharing the syllabus for the course. So I'm going to share the slides for today, and then we can actually start our session. Eunice Na Momotaki, you are welcome. I'm seeing familiar names and faces. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm. Okay, so just a basic rule. The waiting room is activated, and when I call your name and I ask you a question and I don't hear from you from 3 calls, you will put in the waiting room. And you may not come back. You may not come back. So please, if you don't know, you just say that, oh, prof, this one I don't know, or can I check? You're allowed to um go online and then use your Facebook and I said Facebook, your ChatGTP, Claude, and then DeepSeek and all the other platforms and Google itself, Gemini and stuff to be able to interact with me. I want us to learn. We are having a discussion, so you can also pick something from the internet and we can discuss as we go on. So please, if I ask a question and you're not very sure, you can say, "Oh, Pop, can I just check and come back?" Then I can go to the next person. Don't hold the class, and then we don't hear from you, and we'll put you out of the class. If it's level only 2 people, I'll still teach the 2 people. So just get the rules to and know the rules and know your name. So if I call you, you don't know that I'm calling, like I'm called Amanda, and Amanda thinks I'm calling Elsie, and Elsie thinks I'm calling Amma. So please, I'll call you by your name, unless you use your index number alone or your phone number, then I call you by those things. Yeah. Thank you very much. So in this session, I'm joined by Dr. Bano. Dr. Bano is in the house. He's representing himself. And then we'll be going through this particular course. I'll try to make it interactive as much as possible. The objective of the session is to introduce the concept of data governance and its significance for businesses and institutions in society. Please, do you have clarity in hearing me? Is it clear?
Yes, please, Paul.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Okay, good. Sometimes in the morning, people are not very vocal, so I just want to be sure. So look at data, the new oil, why data protection matters, untangling data technologies, and so what. First question I want to ask is that the terminology about data being the new oil, maybe some of you have heard about it before. And what do you think it is? What does it connote? What does it mean when you hear that data is the new oil? The 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 trick about this question is that the oil part is what you should look at the characteristics of oil in the economy and in society and use that one to be a preamble to assess the value of data to us. So who would like to try? Let me start with Elsie. You are the class rep, so you should be the first person. So Elsie, unless you are also not here.
Is it Elsie or Elsa?
Elsa, sorry. Hey, I'm saying okay, I've seen Elsa and I've seen Elsie. Sorry, I'm getting hey, the women are confusing us with their names. So there's Esther, Elsie, Elsa, Eunice. The E's at our four. Okay, I want Elsa.
Okay, Paul. So
Uh,
what I can say about data being the new oil is, as oil, once it's processed and exchanged, you can get like valuable information from the oil. And so data is a valuable asset to us. Once you process it and transform it, you're able to get key informations. Please, that's what I can say.
you hear what you said? You said we can process oil and get valuable information from oil. We get
No,
information
no,
from
no,
oil.
no.
I understand you. You are trying to say that we need to mine oil to get valuable products from it.
Yes,
And the
please.
same thing is what you are trying to use as an analogy for the value of oil to data
To
to us.
data.
Data in its raw form may not be of much value unless it is processed or it is mined and put it in a particular context and for particular use. Thank you. Yes. Can we have Asante Poku give us his view?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, it is particularly in relation to the monetary value we can get from data.
Did you hear what we said? You say you give a characteristics of oil, then you use that one to explain the data. You went straight to data.
So oil has a lot of monetary value, and data also has a lot of monetary value.
What you said. You're not saying anything. No.
Oil gives money.
How does oil give money?
Yeah, oil is money.
No. Oil is not money. Oil is a means of value exchange. Oh, yeah, you say these are the ways you answer questions in exams, or you say you have written and then you come and get zero. Oil, how does oil become money? The oil in your house, fried oil, is it money?
That is not the oil we are talking about. We are talking about commercial oil, maybe gasoline or diesel. That's what we are suggesting, not the oil we use in cooking.
So the diesel that is there sitting there, as it's sitting there, is money.
The processed gasoline is money.
How is it money? You can go and take the oil and use it to go and buy food.
No, you use it you sell it, the OMCs get money from it.
Boss, if you answer a question, understand what you are saying, no. It's a means of value exchange or it is money.
It's a means.
Uh-huh.
And
So
in other derivatives, we use it as money as well.
how does it become money if it's not a value exchange?
That is derivatives.
Go and write it in the exams and come and defend yourself. And if you get 0, you understand what I'm saying. When you're answering the question, you should understand what you are saying. Anyway, let me leave it here. You are the one who says you know, so let me leave it for you. Yes, Joseph Kingsford. Hey, Kingsford, I saw Joseph by your name. I see Kingsford Kwame. Or you are Kingsford. It's Kingsford Kwame. There's no Joseph, if I'm right.
Yeah, good morning, bro.
Yeah.
So for me, data being the new, what I can deduce from that is that it's actually what we use to drive innovation in terms of product development and many other things that we can talk about. It powers everything that we do now. Every single thing that happens, data is generated, and that data that we have, we can use it to drive innovation in terms of product creation, services, and all that. So that's how I see it being a new oil.
Okay, so which aspect of oil are you using to discuss to make this analogy or make this inference?
So like oil being like a value, being like something that we can use to create value. So in
Okay.
the same way, we can use data to drive value. So like the
Okay.
way typically if you have a data as a company, you know how your customers behave, but using that information to like create other products and services for your customers using
I
the
like
data.
I like the fact that oil has a means of being used to create other products and services. And you are saying the same thing about data. Is that not what you are saying? That one I like it. But the other points you are saying is repeating the other points. The other things you said are repeating the earlier speakers. So usually when you answer a question and the lecturer tells you to answer and say three key characteristics or three key pathways of explaining data is the new oil, you need to make sure that each of the explanations are not dependent on each other, so they can stand on their own. Do you understand what I'm trying to
Very,
say?
very
Okay,
well, very well.
good. So your other point that it can be used to create other products and services is very good because that's not what they said earlier. And then that is the same thing that you can do with the data that you talked about earlier. Good, very good point. I don't know whether anybody has anything to add, maybe by going online. I said you can go online and check. You can go to ChatGTP and check what the other views are. Rene, have you done any check online to tell us another view? Rene Jamna.
Well, she said yes.
Ah, she's chatting. Okay, good. So what's the other view? Yeah. You can type it. We'll wait for you. Whilst you're waiting for Rene, let me go to uh, Salom Lodonu. Salom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do you have any view? Or you are
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I'll say is one characteristic of oil that can be linked to data is I'll say the environmental concern that is associated with oil extraction. So with
Wow.
that, in relation to data, there are concerns with privacy and data protection.
Wow.
So
It's okay. It's okay.
as
Don't
of
say- It's okay.
okay.
Salom, keep the rest for exams. This is very good. A very good point. I don't have okay. You see, Dr. Bano is even clapping for you. All the week you have never had this explanation. Please, this one they keep it for yourself. I don't say a lot.
Yes, sir.
But it's very good. It's very good. I like the way you began. I like the point about it's a different perspective. And I like the point that you actually highlighted concerning the fact that there are concerns about how even some of them are ethical, some of them are political, and the same thing has to do with data. So it's very, very interesting. Don't send your explanation to Menace. Don't mind Menace. Thank you very much. Renee, have you found something new to tell us? Or have you shared it? Mhm. Uh, Renee, we are waiting for you. I thought you said you are going to chat GTP or something to tell us. Anyway. Okay. Anybody having any other point before we move on? Any other view? Okay. Renee went out. Oh, I didn't even know. We went out of the classroom. Okay. Good.
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
You have an echo. I think you are behind somebody.
Please, is it better?
It's better, far better.
Okay. So with oil, we can get a lot of things from it. Oil for something like transport, we can get fuels for cars and planes and ships. And with data, it's also transforming our healthcare and educational systems.
Okay, so there's something you said that I don't want you to write in exam. We can get a lot of things. A lot of people like that statement. We can get a lot of things. You are not saying anything by saying that. But you pointed out that oil is central to transportation and helps us
Yes.
to be able to generate fuel for transportation. What you have actually said is a very good point. And if you relate it with it, oil is data has become one of the tools, one of the resources that we use to actually create certain vital information that runs certain sectors of the economy. And one is also transportation. For example, what we are seeing with Uber is about data. Is that not true?
Yes, sir.
Good. So that's how I like you to make the analogy.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you realize that even Uber is working in Ghana without even having an office in Ghana because of the fact that they are just running data. They don't need it to be physically present as of today. They came to begin and then they left. I think they're operating from Nigeria for Ghana now. But
Yeah.
but people are here signing up every day. Why? Because they're running based on data. Okay. Very good. Thank you. I saw one hand up trying to add one more point. That's Kwame and Pemdako, yeah.
Hi, good morning, Prof.
Yes.
So, just to add to this, as we consider oil, gold, other minerals as a natural resource or as a, huge resource for a country, it has its policies in terms of governance. So we have the gold board like in Ghana, we have the GMPC to manage, oil in Ghana. Likewise, data, it being a new oil, must also have its form of governance to guard, policies to how data is processed, how data is managed, because it's a resource. It's now a huge resource, and therefore it needs its own form of governance to manage this kind of resource.
So what board have you set up in Ghana to manage data?
Okay, I know we have the data protection agency and stuff like that, trying to, streamline how data is being managed in Ghana. But we don't have a proper board like the other ones.
Okay, is it
other
an
resources.
agency or is it a commission?
I'll have to check on that. But I know that we have some office like that managing
Okay,
data.
so whilst I'm teaching, check online. Then when you get it, raise your hand and let me know. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on. Thank you for your excellent points. Sister, I saw your hand, but you can type it inside there. I think enough good points have been shared. This is an exam question that I would like to set. So I want to make sure that everybody understands it. Good. Okay, so, but I didn't tell you to relate it to a place of work, but I think you have well explained it, and most of you can relate it to the economy across the world. And we have mentioned, you have already agreed the fact that it's the right value, and before you can get the value, you need to process it, analyze it, and protect it to unlock its potential. Now, if I look at the screen here, what type of data do I see? What type of data do I see? Yes, anybody can go. What type of data do I see here? Wow, Esther, I like your point. Oil needs infrastructure, so does data. That's interesting. Yeah, Emmanuel Drew, what data do we see on the screen?
Hello, bro.
Yeah. What do we see on the screen? I said, what data do we see on the screen? What kind of data do we see?
Okay, so I see products.
Okay.
Products, yeah, including,
Okay.
yeah, no, that
Okay.
sort of thing.
Okay. So you see data on products. Okay. Class, is there any? Is all the data that you see here hold the same value? Yeah, Isaac.
Prof. So I can see that they have also done something about trending deals. So they have somehow gotten the items that are selling or are currently trending, and they've showcased it at the top.
That's good. And what does trending mean?
I believe it's mainly items that people are currently buying or checking out.
Okay.
So either it is being added to the cart or it's actually being bought.
Okay. What type of data do you need to be able to generate that?
The sales data and the activity on the internet website. What people are clicking on, what people are adding to their carts, and the ones that people are purchasing or buying.
Isaac, you are good though. Anyway, that's
Thank
so.
you, sir.
Yeah. I like your answers. Very, very, very good, Karen. And you didn't let me even explain. You are teaching the class. So let me ask. Not Isaac. The rest of the class. Um, does all the data here hold the same value? Mm. There's different types of data on the screen. If you look at the top, if you look below, so does all the data hold the same value? Hey, no, but okay, Isaac, come back. The class seems to be lost. Come and help them. Does all the data hold the same value? Okay, let me ask the question a different way. Okay, Elsa, yeah.
Prof, please, I would say no, because on the first category, you see that it's trending deals, and the second is inspired by your list. So I believe the inspired by your list holds more value than the other, because that's based on what the person usually clicks or looks out for in their Amazon website.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. And then I think you can also see some details on address delivered to Joseph, Bronx 10457. That's an address. So this is the address, that delivery address, which is so this is part of personally identifiable information. It has to be with about the person who has signed in. You can also see the person who has signed in's name. Hello, Richard. So those are personal information. So you can also see that the data here is not just about the products that are coming from the entire body, the shopping behavior of consumers. It's also certain personalized data that has to is coming from the person's information that he has shared with Amazon. So again, I ask, do all the data have the same value? Or is there some type of data that have to be protected and secured and not made accessible to others?
Of Kingsford says no in the chat.
Give what do you mean by no?
Hello, Prof. I mean, not all data have the same value because they don't have the same value because they depend on each of the data point, their relevance, their timeliness, and how they are supposed to be used. So as you mentioned, the PIIs, whenever we are handling people's data, we need to make sure that we keep it safe, that other parties don't have access to it. And whatever we want to do with it, those people, we must get their consent. And so not all of them have the same value. Some are critical than others. And
Okay.
if it is handled, it could be a cost to us as a business or something.
Okay. Good. Lastly, in terms of the data we see here, you learned about different types of data last semester. What type of data are you seeing in terms of the different types of data you learned last semester? What type of data are you seeing? Or what type of data is being used to derive some of the or generate some of the information you are seeing here? Some people have forgotten all the types of data they learned last semester. Yes, Mr. Santiboku.
So categorical.
You see categorical. So where is categorical data?
So I think they've been blocked based on certain categories. We have apparel, we have electronic, and I could see a medication there. The transkin is a pharmaceutical product. So I see electronic, apparel, and pharmaceutical categories.
Interesting. Yes. Any other types of data that you are seeing there? Asante, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, I am Emmanuel Drew.
This quantitative data, which is used to set the prices, and then I think the discounts, and yeah, so I see quantitative data as a numeric.
Okay, so you can see quantitative data. That's what you said.
Yes, please.
Okay, then. Thank you very much. Okay, very good points. We'll come back to the data, the types again. So Amazon has a lot of data on its website, and that data is used to forecast sales, streamline supply chains. But if the data falls into wrong hands, it can lead to disastrous consequences for both the company and the customers. So data protection has become very important because of the fact that many organizations are increasingly, including Amazon, keeping their data online, and they are keeping it in the cloud through cloud services, which makes sure that makes it make them enables them to build more versatile applications that can serve people across the world. But that also comes with a threat that if you're not very careful and somebody hacks into the platform, they can be able to, or into a cloud infrastructure, they can be able to take away or steal away people's personal information, and that can be at a cost to the firm. So it's become important or imperative for firms to find ways to protect this data because they are trading with the data and they are trading in a cloud environment. Quite a number of them are deploying different applications, and from the statistics that you see here, 53% of enterprises have at least 500 business applications deployed worldwide, and that has a lot of implications concerning use of the data, the security of the data, standardization of the data, because you are now having people from different jurisdictions accessing and using the services or the platform or the applications. Now, those who also have silo based or in-house based applications that are not connected to any cloud infrastructure are also considering moving away from such to into to cloud to provide more different applications that can connect to clouds, the cloud infrastructure, and then be able to serve a larger amount of people. So we are moving away from on-premises applications to global applications that can network and be able to connect across the different branches or functional areas of the organization. So if you say that you're going to sit down and not respond to the opportunities and the new markets that are being created by the new technologies that we have, you are going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind. Okay. So secondly, firms are also concerned about data because of the fact that when they are able to protect it, they are also sometimes fulfilling some or adhering to certain regulations that may be within the country or within the sector they operate in. So, because there are financial incentives for compliance, firms are encouraged to seek this pathway. And if they don't do that, it could also let them lose certain customers or investment opportunities. For example, banks are increasingly educating consumers that their data is secure and that they have got very secure platforms and they are safe to transact in the spaces that they have or the channels that they have made available to them. And when those channels are compromised, banks are swift to tell them that you can't use this or they will shut down the application. Why? Because if they don't comply and protect consumers and their information is leaked or made on is accessed in an unauthorized manner or altered, it can lead to other forms of penalties from the financial regulators, and that one may not go well for them. So institutions consider that there is a financial incentive for compliance, one for new markets, for enhancing the trust of the current market, and also for establishing that you are adhering to institutional regulations that have been set for you. Good. Now, lastly, another set of reasons why governance has become important is because of data breaches are real and they are taking place. People are sharing information, and sometimes we have got employees working in places and they are sharing information for their own personal gain. I think this week you heard about CCTV information being shared and placed in the hands of certain people when certain seemingly innocent encounters was now being interpreted as something else, seemingly innocent. Now, why is this a big issue? If a camera is placed in a restaurant and the video from the camera is put online, how many people here will be happy about it? I don't think, even though it's a public environment, you don't want everybody to know that you are eating here. It's not that's not the objective. If that's the case, then it's better to go and eat on TV. But there's a reason why you want to find some time and have lunch with your family members or friends, and now you face the threat that the CCTV that was put there to protect your environment, so just in case there's an incident, it will be used to be able to solve that problem. It's now being used and traded for a different purpose, which you may not even know about. Now, that shows that even the information that we are sharing online, even in public environments, we are not even concerned about how that information can be used for us or against us. Mhm. And we are in a situation in which sometimes firms find themselves at the mercy of their own employees, because their employees can pick information and then take it to a different environment and misinterpret it. So if you're not very careful and we don't put in measures to protect, and even the technical and procedural measures to protect institutional data or information, we are going to have breaches, and that could cost the firm its business and its opportunity, even the confidence of the consumer interacting with them. Now, let me give a recent example of a trend that has been going on. How many of you have seen that um, currently some you see this trending videos in which people teachers who are in schools put their class children on video, and they kind of have a dance with them while they are going to class, or they try to remember recite their names, and the teacher is able to show that he has an individual relationship or a personal relation with each of the child. Who has seen those type of videos? Sometimes they kind of they have a handshake or a kind of a dance before you go to class, or they blindfold the teacher, and the child will talk, and the teacher will try to mention the name of the child and identify about 80 or 60 or to 40 to 60 children, each of them, and identify them nicely. They do that as a challenge on TikTok and other platforms. Who has seen that such a video before? Okay, Asante Boku, you have seen it. Eunice, you have seen
I
it.
saw a lady, a female teacher. She closes her eye, then a student speaks, and she's able to identify which student actually spoke.
Okay, good.
I think yesterday.
Okay, good. Emmanuel, what about you? What did you see?
I saw the same video as Auntie saw.
Okay, what about Eunice?
Yes, sir. I also saw that video.
Hey, this video is really trending. I thought it was a different video. Okay, now most of you here are parents, and if you're not a parent, you'll be a parent soon. So what I want to say is that which of you here have you been approached by the school of your ward or your children, or if you're a guardian, to come and sign any kind of undertaking to say whether allowed the school to use the picture of your child doing events and activities for their social media activities? Who has, and you can say I consent or I do not consent. Who has signed something like that here? Wow, nobody here. Who has heard of it being done for maybe a school of your brother or somebody in your office? You have heard of that? Maybe the person was telling you that, oh, my child brought this letter from there. Okay, Godwin, can you tell us what happened in that scenario? Don't mention the school, but tell us.
Yeah, so a friend of mine said that they brought a letter that they want to use the child for a banner, the child's picture for a banner.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Did your friend consent?
Yes, she did. So
Okay.
they used it.
Okay, good. What about Dinah?
Yeah, so it's a similar situation to Gordon's own.
Okay.
They asked my sister-in-law whether they can use her kids. I mean, the kids in the class, a child was part, so they wanted to use them for like a banner, like an advertising for the school.
Okay.
And then she said no.
Okay, good. Now, you see, she said no. Can you imagine what the teacher is doing on the school is allowing the teacher to do? And some of you may not know how these situations can be very, very serious. We have got families in which they may be estranged. The husband and the fight and the man and the woman are fighting for the custody of the child. And maybe the child goes to the husband for 1 week and then goes to and sometimes the court is even monitoring them. And in such scenarios, or even you may even have a violent father who the mother has tried to stay away from there and has relocated to maybe Accra and left the US and come back. I've even heard about it, come back here. Only for you to start doing this advert or this social media challenge, and now somebody can see, is that not a Christian Menu's daughter? Now they tell the man, and now the man can know where the daughter is and maybe come and take the daughter from the school. People don't realize that is even the extreme situation. Then there are also people who are children of diplomats, or people who are politically exposed or security wise they are exposed because of the kind of things they do. They go undercover and stuff, and their children are placed in things like this. And the schools are not sensitive. They think that it's an interesting challenge, and we are also liking. Those of you who watch the video, Dinah and Co. and stuff, the video, Eunice, did you read the comment to see that why is the teacher doing this? Everybody says, teacher is doing very well. Oh, what a wonderful teacher. Oh, what a great teacher. You see them praising the teacher, but they're not thinking about the risk of exposure. The children that have been videos have been shown, who of them signed? Which of the children signed? That the children even know that their content is being exposed that much and it's going this far. So just as you watch it, somebody has watched it in China, somebody has watched it in the US, somebody has watched it in Kukurantumi. And these things keep on going on because of the fact that there's no consciousness about the fact that the data we have can be used for both positive and negative things. Can also be used for can actually bring stress to the people who are within that particular whose information are embedded in that particular video or social media ad or whatever it is. So, and people's information can be stolen. Not just now we are we are in the era of facial recognition and stuff. So people don't think that putting a picture on the internet is not a big deal. Anything about you can be obtained. There have been cases in which people put. I'm going for vacation. Oh, I'll be out for 3 weeks. See me and my hubby at the airport. You have actually told thieves that, you have told armed robbers that you are not in your house. That's what you have actually told them, and you're not going to be. And I remember somebody to something that happened in the US, and the state or the community police sued the person. He actually announced a party he was doing on his blog. Oh, my 50th birthday, I'm doing a blog. Yeah, all my friends are welcome. Thinking that he's talking to people on in the social media network, about 60 people. By the time we realized, the video was all over the place, and there was the thing turned to a blog party. People were just showing up, and were just showing up, and the police couldn't manage it, and they ended up after they had to destroy disperse the crowd, and later sue the person that you didn't give them prior notice that you're going to do, only because of the information you posted on the internet. So we are not conscious of what we are, the type of data we have, and how much valuable that data is in the wrong hands. It could actually cost us. I think recently you've heard about people being drawn, the two girls being sent to Nigeria because they were chatting with people online, and they thought they were talking to somebody who was interested in them to marry them or something like. They're talking to supposedly white people, and they ended up in Nigeria, and they were kidnapped. And if you look at the other side of the kidnap situation, you even have employees of some of the telcos helping the criminals to be able to access certain accounts and get paid, and even get people's OTP numbers that to confirm certain credentials. Why? Because we are trading based on data, and it gives us all these liabilities, which we are not sometimes sure about. And if we don't align our internal strategies and our internal internal procedures, even as a family, as home, if you're not sensitive and aware about some of these things, you may put your whole family at risk. You may put your organization at risk. Mhm. So this then brings us to some of the terminologies we are going to deal with today. But please, I hope you have understood the agency of data, the relevance of data, and the agency of protecting it. And that's why I try to use some social examples to also see that it doesn't only apply to what happens in the office. There's issues about breaches in terms of your personal identifiable information that can be also out there, can be used to identify you yourself, or even identify. Let me ask a question. Have you do you have this person in the office who is always blogging or vlogging or with video and say, "Oh, join me," and then say, "Can you see me? I'm in the office." Then you bring the camera and try to get you smile, smile. Meanwhile, he's putting it on his page. Who has got that kind of friend in the office? That they almost every Friday or every time he comes to work or every they close or every single thing in the office. Oh, shall we? Let's put it online. Then they'll take a picture, even when you're not ready. Yeah, Emmanuel, you have a friend like that in the office. Eh?
Yes, bro.
Don't you say,
I mean,
don't you find it sometimes unsettling?
yeah, almost everything they want, especially Snapchat, they want to put it online. If they are eating breakfast, they are eating lunch, everything,
No, I mean I know about
everything.
that. I want no, what I'm concerned about is how they even want to introduce you, who is sitting down
Yeah,
quietly. As for you
they'll be
putting
like,
your
say
own,
hi to the camera,
yeah,
hi
yes,
to the camera.
yes.
This my friend. So a lot of, some.
And can you imagine that maybe I don't know your relationship status. You are trying to do something small with somebody at maybe Takrady, and this lady goes to put your picture. Then you have to go explain yourself because the picture is now forwarded to the person. It's actually serious. We have got friends like that in the office space, and they can actually be create uncertain moments for us. And later, some of the things they do to us can even come and affect our relationships. And sometimes you don't want to. What even happens in certain jurisdictions is that when there is a crime and they are investigating and they start doing the social media investigation and they start seeing you in the picture, then the police are at your door asking that, how do you know the person? You are say, oh, I don't know him. I don't. It's just an acquaintance. Oh, but you have about 8 or 9 videos with the person on social media. Now you have to explain yourself how you got into that relationship with the person. But there's no relationship. I don't know whether anybody has seen that before. You find yourself in a difficult situation. You have to explain something that you are just happen to be in the picture or happen to be in the space, and something has happened. Now you have to explain that why are you in it. But you have no idea. I remember there was I went to an environment, and as soon as I got there, they said, oh, this property, Pop, let's take a picture. So this lady came to take the picture, and then I didn't realize it. She put her hand on my shoulder and put one of her hands on her waist. So then they took the picture very fast. The next thing I saw, it was on social media. Then I started talking to the please put this picture before I start having problems. Because I had just come to your office to just say hi. I said, oh, this is the Professor Boy. I said, the way the picture would look, it looked like somebody I knew, but I don't know you. And then I have to explain that I don't know you. Because the way she felt very comfortable. When I saw the picture, then I saw the impression that it was communicated. I said, no, this one doesn't look good. Because it looks like I know the person. I've taken this kind of picture of the person. Now I have to explain myself to people I don't have problems with. Yeah, Daniel, yeah. Daniel, I
Okay,
see your hand up, yeah.
so yes, I want to introduce a dimension of this. For instance, I think the way our social settings encourage these kind of things, and I'm saying so because it's something that has been trending. Only few people or some people who are privacy aware and stuff like that really don't indulge in stuff like that. It's still, I mean, an argument can be made that it still kind of benefit certain organizations or certain groups, if I'll put it that way.
Okay. 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 So you say, how do they benefit?
Well, so driving, what do you call it? Traffic, data traffic, which is also monetization.
Yeah.
I also believe that it also helps with the real sense of analytics in terms of insights and stuff like that, because the more data available, the more, insights that is made when it comes to profiling and stuff like that. Yeah, so it has other dimension of it, but I really can't tell whether it's something that is debatable, because it is, on one hand, it's beneficial to certain groups of persons and institutions. On the other side, it's something that is, demeaning to individuals. Yeah.
Okay, that's why we are in this course. Part of the things that we are going to be talking about is how you are able to protect yourself as an individual, and then later on protect the organization that you belong to. So that's where we talk about privacy. It has to do with the fact that protecting your information, having the right to say who has access to your information, and having the right to say who has access to share that information. You can have access to my information, but no, you don't have access to share it. So these are that's why we talk about data privacy, and these are some of the terminologies that we are going into. So we'll mention a few of them, and during the semester, we'll be talking about that into detail. Now, what is data? Data is raw, unprocessed facts and figures that are collected and stored and analyzed. And usually, we know that data is what is processed to become information. This definition of data, we have embraced it in previous courses that we have done in this particular program. But there are different types of data, and I think somebody mentioned qualitative data earlier, and then somebody also mentioned quantitative data too. But what other types of data exist? What other types of data exist apart from quantitative and qualitative? Yes. What other types of data exist? You may have heard of other types of data. Yeah, Daniel, you can go ahead. Then I'll to.
don't know in terms of the classification if we can say we have transactional data.
Okay, that is true. We have a transaction data. That's good. That's what I was looking for, but I was not looking for that. But I was looking about the format of the data. But it's true. We have transactional data. You are right. You are right. And even from what we saw with Amazon, there's a lot of transactional data there. What about Eunice? Yeah.
Yes, sir. So what about structured and unstructured data?
Very good. Very structured and unstructured. And I think there's another called semi-structured data. So what is unstructured data? And maybe an example of it.
So should I say it or is it to the class?
Oh, we are here. We are listening to you. You went ahead.
Okay, so unstructured data doesn't have any it's just there, no formats, no it hasn't been structured. So let's say
Okay, so what is
tweets or
okay.
sorry.
Okay. No, you said tweets. We are listening to tweets and what?
Yeah, so if you get data from social media like tweets, maybe pictures, data from a survey or something in an Excel format, it hasn't been put into any kind of structured format for you to derive information from it.
What is a structured format? Okay, you have answered enough. So let me ask, what is a structured format? So yes, can go ahead. Yeah, Asante.
So is it relational?
No, relational data is there. That's also true. Relational data is
So
about
if,
Mhm.
for instance, if we pick special feeds from maybe remote sensing about environmental degradation, that would be an unstructured data. Unlike maybe a data in a database or on SQL, which is time series or related to other, connected to other variables.
You're making it very technical. I want it very simple. Yes, patience.
Okay.
Patience, go ahead.
So unstructured data, we say the structured data is data that has been tabulated. So it has rows and columns. And then with the columns, the columns having clearly defined features and all that. But unstructured does not have that feature. It's not tabulated. It's just raw data in scattered form that maybe you would even have to put in shape, tabulate to be able to know which feature goes with what object.
Okay, thank you. Patience, thanks for it. But I see Salom's hand up. Salom, what are some examples of unstructured data?
So I think some forms of unstructured data are, we can say, social media posts. They are not structured in any way. I mean, they have like text and sometimes images there, and they have no format. In that sense.
Okay, apart from social media data, what type of data else is?
So is it under the unstructured data that you're asking?
Yeah,
or just
unstructured, because social media has a lot of different types of data there. That's why I wanted to break it
okay.
down.
So we have aside that we have also audio files and videos too. So yeah, that could also
text.
Yeah, and text.
What is text? Text is text. What is text? I'm talking about data. You're saying text. The data is expressed in text. So what is the data? So which data comes in forms of text? Those who have been saying text. I keep on hearing text. But which data comes in the form of text? Yes, Isaac. Isaac, can go ahead. Your hand is up. Otherwise, I'll call somebody else. Which data comes in the form of text? Emmanuel, go ahead.
See, I would say like chats or messages or emails.
Okay, so now I've
Yeah.
heard. Now let's take it one by one. Salom, you mentioned videos. Emmanuel, you're talking about emails, and you're also mentioning something else as you mentioned something else. You said
Chats
email
and messages.
chats. Okay, and then Asante also says spatial data. Now I'm going to ask all of you. I'll give you about 2 minutes. What makes the video unstructured data? What makes the email unstructured data? And what makes the spatial data unstructured data? Don't rush to answer it. If you want to Google and check it before I come and answer it. And it's for the whole class. Because this is one of my questions in the exams. One of the questions that is becoming whether in my IE or my exams. And that's why we are dealing with it very well. What makes the email unstructured data? What makes the video unstructured data? And what makes the special one that you mentioned? I'm using your own example. What makes that chat unstructured data? Those who are saying email is unstructured data, be very careful because email has headers. And that header part has metadata, which is quite structured. But I'm not saying you are wrong. I'm just telling you that be careful in your answer. Because there's also semi-structured data. Okay. So now I'm giving you about a minute. Everybody look at what makes email unstructured data. If you say it's unstructured, what makes video unstructured data? And what makes that your spatial stuff that you mentioned? That one is fully Asante. He mentioned it, so he will answer that one himself. Asante Opoku. Okay. Whoever is ready, you can let me know. It can not only the three people, but anybody who wants to answer these questions I've asked. Like Gloria, if you are checking. Please, you can go to DeepSeek, you can go to ChatGPT, you can go to Cloud, sorry, you can go to Copilot. We are learning, so we can use any of the platforms to check it. And if you get it, raise your hand and tell us you are reading from ChatGPT or you are reading from somewhere else. Then we can learn together. There's also Gemini. Yeah. Emmanuel, are you using your head to say it or you are answering based on one of the AI platforms?
Yeah, I'm reading based on Google, what I found on Google. So
Just
I want to
Google.
read.
Google or
Yes.
Google or Gemini.
Google.
Be careful. Now Google, when you search, it can actually summarize based on AI on the top. So I don't know which of them you are using. Is it the
Okay,
basic?
so it's from an AI overview.
Okay, good. So that's why I'm saying that. Please nowadays be very careful when you are answering things from the internet because you don't know where the AI is working and where AI is not working. so you are saying AI, so I know AI overview. Good. So give it to. So that means
Yeah.
that the AI has summarized it for that's Gemini has
Yes.
summarized. Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, so it says an email is considered unstructured data primarily because the email's body content, including text, images, and attachments, lacks a predefined structured format. While the email metadata, into brackets, sender, recipient data, and date, subject, can be considered structured, the main body of the email's content is free-form and not organized according to a specific schema. This lack of predefined structure makes it difficult to analyze using traditional relational database tools, according to MongoDB.
Thank you very much. So this is
Yeah.
a very good answer. But you see, the way it is also a little bit controversial because it's saying that it has the metadata part. So why doesn't it then classify as semi-structured? Because it says only the body part is where the problem is, but the rest of the other parts is structured. So
Yeah.
is that not a semi? I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's correct. He's wrong, but this is the engagement that I expect you to do on the sheet of paper. When I ask you. So very, very good. We have accepted the email. Okay, email has been answered. So who is going to look at the video one for us? Why is video unstructured? Oh, please, you are allowed to use whatever. Godwin, don't you have ChatGPT in front of you? I'm a grammar. You are all having patience. Okay, patience. You have talked already, so don't worry you. Mm, Let me hear from you guys. So, yeah, Dennis, go ahead. What have you checked? Or you don't know how
Okay.
to use
So,
ChatGPT? Then I can teach you.
okay,
Okay.
so this is just for my head.
Oh,
Just like the way we
okay. So
have like
this is managed GTP. Okay, managed GTP.
so know how in a structured data we have maybe columns and rows, and each column defining what type the that data column what the data type of that column is. In a video form, you see people speaking. The words that are being spoken, you cannot be able to tell if it is a numeric unless we decide from our head, or if it is a date type of data, and it's not in such a way that you can be able to pick the name of the person speaking, the context in which the person is talking to, and the location. So in that sense, it's like it's all over the place, and you have to try and piece them together from your own perspective to tell what's and where and what it should be. That's how I think the video is unstructured.
Okay, you are saying that it is unstructured because of the fact that the content itself contains certain types of information or data that is not predictable. So there are words, there are pictures, and its content. That is the one that you may want to try to document. And if you're documenting it, it comes in different ways. So it's not a variety. So you cannot be able to put in a particular structure. Okay. But let me ask you a question. Your video, don't you know that I can create a database and just say video title? Okay, I'm putting Kukurantumi, Road to Kukurantumi, directed by Kwamina Segu, 1961. I told you so. Directed by Kojo Bano, 1952. Um, Ghana Must Go Again, directed by Lee Wayne, 2005. Now that thing I'm doing is not the video that I'm documenting, and I'm getting a structured database there.
Yes, that is when you structure it, but in a raw form, when someone just sends you a video, it's just a video until the person decides to structure.
Okay. Interesting. Please let's go to other people who have done some research on why is video unstructured. This is coming from my head. I want something from the internet. Who has checked it? So all of you here, nobody has gone online to check. Eunice, yes.
Yeah, so say from Copilot,
Okay.
it says lack of consistent formats.
Okay.
While structured data fits neatly into databases, videos vary in resolution, compression formats, and encoding, making standardization difficult.
Wow. That's a very simple, straightforward. It has captured what the compression, and instead what the video compression and what format and what
They
again?
vary in resolution,
Resolution good.
yes, compression formats, and encoding, making
Okay.
standardization difficult.
Okay. Yesterday, Dr. Nee was explaining the same thing. You're using the compression format and then the for instance, which is part of the or the last one she said. Resolution, compression format. What was your last one, Bennett?
Encoding.
Coding, good. The way we code it gets coded, then it turns into an MP4. Okay, Emmanuel, did you check ChatGPT or DeepSeek or something else?
Prof. ChatGPT.
Okay, what do you say?
So it says videos are unstructured data because they lack a fixed format, contain complex multimedia, into brackets, visuals, audio, text, and require advanced tools to interpret. Their content isn't organized in rows and columns, and understanding them needs context, making traditional data processing methods ineffective.
Wow. I think they have used about 4 different descriptors. So let's start again. The first one, one of them he talked about rows and columns. Number 2, traditional techniques cannot work on it. Then they also mentioned
Yes.
what again? And the fact that it's
Complex
complex
media.
and there's variety in terms of the content itself. So
Yeah.
there's some variety there. Good. That's very interesting. Yeah, Isaac AJ, you also have something to say.
Yes, mine is from DeepSeek.
Okay.
And it says videos are considered unstructured data because they lack a predefined, organized format that makes them easily searchable and analyzable by traditional data processing systems.
Okay. So
here is why.
Okay.
So one, it has no fixed schema or format.
Okay.
2, high dimensionality and complexity. 3,
High
required
dimensionality. Wow. Okay.
complexity.
Okay.
The 3 says requires advanced processing for meaning extraction.
Okay.
And for lack of direct searchability. And it explains all those 4 points one
Okay,
after
so
the
that
other.
means that a structured data has to have a characteristic of what? Searchability, if that's what you're saying.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay. Interesting. Very, very good. Then what about email? Email has searchability.
So email combines both structured and unstructured data
So,
features, like we said.
so email should
So
be
I think email is
semi
semi-structured, yeah.
But the what you are reading, people are concluding that it's structured. It's all structured. Anyway, that's good. That is good for exam. This question will be interesting. I can see engagement on the paper. People tell the prof you are confused. Interesting. Isaac, I think, do you have any more to add, or so that we can go to Asante Poku? He wanted to explain spatial data. Yeah.
Let's proceed.
Okay. Asante, if you wanted to say Opoku.
Okay, so okay, I'll be coming from computer science or data science perspective. We
Okay.
block data into 4.
Okay.
The video, audio, picture, and text. And within text, we have the alphabets and the numericals. So when we make emphasis on structured, we are mostly always talking about the numerical one that are relational. Then even within the text, the alphabet, we treat them different. We use natural language processing, which is different from what the models we use in the numerical data. So I would say structured or unstructured is not, they become. When we receive maybe spatial data in scattered form, and we are able to write some algorithm, or we define the data structures of it, and we are able to index them in a particular relationship, we refer to that particular finished product as a structured spatial data. But when they come in their raw state, usually they are unstructured, and it's also having audio and pictures and videos too.
Interesting, but you have given us so many diversions, technical explanation by pointing us to the content of the data and the different types of forms it comes in terms of the technical understanding. But
yes, I was struggling with the information I was having from the AIs, and it is conflicting some of the things I know from data science and computer science. That's why I was struggling to actually define it. But that's how we do it. For text, we demarcate it into 2 numerical and natural languages. That is the alphabet.
So
Then
if you
audio,
say that you have said these things, but I've not answered the question. So at what point does the thing become unstructured?
when they come and the data structure and the algorithm doesn't make them in a relational way.
Okay.
In a relational way.
Okay.
That's
I understand what you're saying. So
okay.
that's the technical part behind it. But I think all of them, one of the best answers is the one from DeepSeek. That will give us a very good explanation. And then the one from, I think, ChatGTP also gives us a very good, a fairly good explanation. But both of them are okay for exams. And I also heard earlier, somebody has typed something here. And who is that? Okay. Okay. It's a summary of what? Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Answers.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The answers that came up. People are preparing for exams. Hey, boss. Okay, let's continue. There's another type of data that nobody has mentioned. It starts with B. Oh, Joel. Okay, you are also Joel Budu. You are also B. So there's it's the data that starts with B. Which data is it? Not binary. So
please, that binary is what came into my head to ask them. That's why I raised my hands.
okay, binary is what came into your mind, but there's another one. BI. Hey, the whole
Is it biodata?
No, not biodata. Hey, look how your mind has got to.
You started with B and then you went to I.
So where else can you go to?
Is it big data?
It's big data. So what
Oh
is
yeah,
big?
big data.
What is big data?
So big data will involve all the 4 data types that I mentioned in a very scattered and unstructured way. So videos,
No. Yeah,
audios,
be careful.
pictures,
Be careful. You said big data
and
is what?
text, both numerical and
No,
alphabet.
no, Asante, be careful. You said big data, it counts in unstructured. Be careful. I try to say that you can't have
Okay,
big data in structured
okay,
format.
okay. Sorry.
You see, if you
I
careful.
understand you.
Okay,
That's
so
it. Sorry, sir.
big data is explained in terms of the 5 V's. And what are the 5 V's? Okay, go online and let's look at it together. The 5 V's of big data.
Velocity, volume, veracity.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
let
mention.
me check up.
Let others. Gloria, let's let Gloria check and give us. Gloria, participate. Check online. What is the 5 V's of big data? Gloria, I miss some. I Tibia, yeah. You are the one we're talking to. Gloria, are you here? Okay, good.
Yes, you said what is the five ways of?
Big data. Big data. Salom, your hand is up. You can go ahead. Whilst Gloria is checking.
Okay, so with this, I learned it just yesterday from human resource management, analytics and human resource management. So that is volume, velocity, variety, veracity, and value.
So all the first years, all the first semester, nobody taught you about this. Hey, then that's
It was
serious.
taught. It was taught in class. It was taught
It
in
was
class.
taught. It was taught in class. But yeah.
Those who are saying you are taught in class, what is veracity? what is veracity? Oh, I said you are on DeepSeek, so somebody should read it for us. Gloria, have you opened it? Gloria, we are waiting. Oh,
Yes, I have.
okay. Which of them are you using? Are you using DeepSeek, Gemini?
DeepSeek.
Okay.
DeepSeek.
Hey, all of you on DeepSeek.
But
China will come for you.
the
Okay.
velocity.
Okay. Velocity.
Velocity is this
Uh-huh.
is the speed at which data is generated, collected,
Okay.
and processed.
Okay. So like Amazon, look at how about we have about 1 million people browsing or even adding to cart in about an hour. You have so many people buying at the same time. So that's one. Then okay, what again?
Yes. Live social media streams,
Okay.
real-time stock market feeds,
Okay. Then give us another characteristic. Yeah. What's the next character?
variety.
Variety. Okay.
Variety, yeah.
And that is
The diversity of data types,
okay. That one we are
structured,
uh,
unstructured,
good.
semi-structured.
Good. So it can be different types. Good. Then what about what's the next one?
We have veracity,
Veracity.
yes.
Okay. And
The
that's
quality,
the quality of
accuracy,
the accuracy of the
and
data.
reliability of the
The
data.
data. Okay, that's very good. And then what else?
We have value,
Value. Okay, value.
the
That means
usefulness of the data in generating insights or business benefits.
okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, you're not finished. There's one more. Volume.
Okay, volume.
Hey, madam.
The sheer size of data being generated and stored.
Good. So now we have it. Okay. Now, who has big data in his office? Who has been seeing big data in his office? Daniel Lamte, do you see big data in your office? Or if your office has big data, just say we don't have.
Yes, I come from a telco environment, so yes,
Okay.
there is big data, but I don't directly,
Mm,
work or interface, that
okay.
aspect.
Okay. That's good. Richmond, Richmond G Dula. I'm hoping I pronounce it well. Yeah. Do you have big data in your office?
Yes, Prof. So I also work in healthcare, and so we have like a lot of patients' data that we work with.
Healthcare, some of the hospitals you look after only 3 people in a day, so be careful. So don't say you have big data if you don't. How many? What's the volume of patients coming in a day?
We are seeing about 18,000 patients a month. So
Hey, what kind of hospital can do 18,000 a month? Which hospital is that? Is it Kolebu?
no, Nyaho Medical Center.
Hey, then Yahoo is rich. Oh. Wow.
Hmm.
So, okay, Yahoo is rich, not you. You will be rich. Okay, you also be rich. Don't worry. Hey, 18,000. Wow. Then that means that something like Kolebu may be far more than that.
Yeah, we have 4 sites, so that also explains why
Okay,
there
okay, okay,
there are.
okay, 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 okay. I was just thinking that that's airport here. The one I do was it yeah, airport here is the one you're saying 18,000, because I was asking that car park. I'm looking at a lot of things.
Yes,
The
there's
reality.
Sema, there's Saturday, and then there was Octagon.
Okay, so all the four is what makes the 18,000. So
Yeah,
which of them has more?
Airport Main.
The one near Kufuor's house, that area.
I don't know Kufuor's house, but that's on the
Oh,
Kofi Annan pier.
you don't know Kufuor's house? Yeah.
Oh, Joe. Joe.
Joel, okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, good, good, good. Thank you. I understand now. Understand now. Which of the data is it the children's data or the adult data which is high? I'm just asking, just to be able
Yeah,
to
it's
know.
mostly adults data.
Okay. So you don't classify yourself as a children's hospital, even though you look after your children too.
No, it's
Oh,
general
general.
general
Okay.
care. Yeah.
General care. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Very very interesting insights. Ted, you have sales data. Is your sales data um uh, uh, big data or small data?
Yeah, it's actually big data.
Okay. Okay.
Big data.
Okay. Good. Okay. And that is Ghana plus Nigeria or just Ghana?
Ghana alone is a lot of data because of market size and market share.
Okay.
We have a lot of data. Plus Nigeria is yes, it's very big.
Okay. Good. So we also have analog data. We have got data. We are not going to do much with that one, but at least now we appreciate that we have different types of data. Then one thing that I wanted to mention is that we also have primary and secondary. For your long essay, the primary data is the one that you collect yourself. The secondary data is like I go to test office and collect their data and I go use for my long essay. That's secondary data. I don't collect it myself. TED gives it to me. So then I then use it. It is primary for TED, but me it's secondary. So if I pick Bank of Ghana data, it is now secondary data to me, but it is primary for Bank of Ghana. So sometimes our students use primary data for their long essay or secondary data. Okay, Daniel Lamte, yeah. This class here, it seems you all get AO. The way you are, the other classes they don't participate like this. So the way you are asking and giving me examples, Charlie, you did from this class, you did from. Okay, yes.
Yeah, so, Rob,
Daniel
so just
Lamte. Mhm.
you were touching on big data and going across the various contributions.
Yeah.
I just wanted to find out what constitutes a data to be a big data. Like, are there tiers because obviously, or thresholds, or like, because anyone can just say that once I have this size of data, I can term it as big, like, it constitutes big data.
In fact, I was going to actually ask that question. That is there tera data and then terabyte data in terms of big data and the different.
Okay.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that question.
I'm not throwing it out for you to research it and give it back to us, but I thought it's something that is already there. We could equally, research and find out about that.
Okay, then we should all research, because I myself was going to ask the same thing to you guys, whether there are if what the data is complex and in terms of volume there will be tiers. If we take each of them, there will be different ways we can look at it. In terms of volume, there will be tiers in the data, because we have to kind of store them. So we can pick it up from that particular perspective. Okay.
Doc, please, and one more question.
So let me point. I'm just reading something. It said, so the classifications that I've seen here is number 1, terabytes and petabytes. So, and these are the minimum. That's even they are saying that the data itself is larger than even the terabytes and the petabytes. So it's even above those ones. So it means that in terms of your threshold, you can anything below a terabyte and a petabyte cannot be considered as big data. That's the first thing that you should look at, because they are usually larger than terabytes and petabytes. And please go ahead with the person was trying to talk.
Yes, Doc, Prof. I'm sorry. This is Isaac. So
Okay.
I was also concerned, the big data, does it have to tick all the 5 V's for it to be considered as big data? So does it have to necessarily be uncertainty, veracity, like variety before it's big data, or it could be well structured, but because of the volume, it's considered big data just based on the volume alone? For instance, transactions data, it can be very big, and but it is structured to a large extent. You can see amount, you can see transaction narration and date and all those things. But because the volume is so huge alone, can that make it big data?
Okay, so this
Even
is
though
this
it's
this
not a
question you're
variety.
asking. This question you're asking, a data scientist called Adita Joshi asked the same question, and this was the answer. Provided an answer to the same question as somebody asked on Kura, and he said that, okay, let me give the conclusion before I give you the beginning. When it becomes difficult to store, search, analyze, share a given amount of data using our traditional database management tools, then that data is large and complex, and it's called big data. So now just get when it becomes difficult to store, search and analyze and share a given amount of data using our traditional database management tools, that data is now seen as large and complex data set, and it's called big data. Okay, now let me come to the fact that you have to tick all of them. He explains it as that several definitions explain the big data as promising several things. One, volume, okay, the ones we just mentioned. But ideally, usually when you are unable to store or process the data in a single node server, you can safely call it a big data. Let's say you have a fairly simple data set, say 200 megabytes of comments from your blog, and you want to store and index them for quick search. A standard machine with 128 gigabyte SSD running on your laptop is more than enough. I can buy a server with 2 terabytes, 16 RAM, and quad processor. Okay, what I can process in that machine may not be considered as big data at that point in time. But at the other machine, which is my laptop, looks as big data. Please do you understand it? Now it's about
Yes.
infrastructure. So by virtue of somebody's infrastructure, something may not be big data. That's what he's trying to explain to us. Do you understand it? So this our Nukofio infrastructure, maybe in my primary school. If I don't take it, I give it a data set to look at from maybe UG. It may say that, hey, this is a big data for them because they have this machine, 16 RAM machine, and it's one laptop, and even the speed is not i5. It's big data to that machine. But and if you go to Kofi Annan, where we have a supercomputer, KIC, the Kofi Annan India, Ghana Kofi Annan India Center there, that may not necessarily be seen as, even in somebody's server, like maybe EcoBank, because of the infrastructure they have set up, it may not be, they will not consider my school data as big data. Now, if I have 1 terabyte of tweets for my clients fees, and I want to create a machine learning model that scores their market in sentiment based on that, I would fail on that machine. I'll have to scale out. That means I use a 10 node cluster, not a 1 node cluster. I'll crunch it to a vector representation that contains millions of rows and columns. Train my model on it. Now, at this point in time, the storage requirements and function requirements that people I'm using will then call it as big data because of what I'm requiring, the storage part, and then the function requirements, how I'm going to process it. So my own machine cannot do that. Old machine I even mentioned, the 2 terabyte one, cannot even handle that. Now, in the end, it boils down to business aspects too. There's another side. The first was technical part. I can get a machine or a cluster from Teradata, which charges me around $30,000 per terabyte. Meanwhile, I can buy Dell Power Edge R20 for 3,500 and additional storage with $100, and I'm good to go. It provides me with dual 8-core processors, 32 gig RAM with far lesser cost. What's better for me? So my past limits to find big data on size will fail because now I have different types of technologies I'm using. Now, if I have 1 terabyte of data, like this gentleman said, I've forgotten the guy from Yahoo, start coming every day. That Dell server I just mentioned, that I'm going to buy Dell server for 3,000, will not survive for too long. And I'll have headaches. Where do I store the new data? How do I crunch rapidly so that I can go and train my ML model? What if I start layering my tweets with images? It will even make it very difficult. So in conclusion, it becomes when data becomes difficult to store, search, analyze, and share a given amount of data using my traditional or my current database management tools and infrastructure, that data is a large and complex data set for me, and it's now considered as big data. So it's also contextual. Please, do you understand? Should I share the link with you? Hello? Am I the only one
Yes,
here?
please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, yes, Prof.
Okay, let me share. As for this one, if I read to exam to cause controversy, so let's forgive ourselves. Won't bring this one to exam, but it's very good. Maybe I'll bring it to group presentations. People can go and do something and come and do. But it seems everybody has shared very good knowledge about this thing, and I'm very happy. We are all learning. Yeah, a very, very good question about the threshold. So today we have hey, so let's okay. So let's go ahead. Oh, we can't hear you. You put your hand up, we can't hear you. And you tell him to type. It seems his hand is up, but he's speaking, we can't hear him. Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Yes.
Please, can you hear me?
We cannot hear you. Yeah, we cannot hear you.
Yes. I just want to clarify. So, from what you just said, it means that
I didn't say. I read. Though. I read. I didn't say. I read. Okay.
I'm
Please go
getting
ahead.
from that big data is subjective. What is big data to an entity might not necessarily be big data to a different one.
Yeah, that
Is
one.
that
That's what he actually explained because of he was using your laptop plus a server in your office. There's some data that your laptop will run will not be big data for your server. That's what he was trying to explain. But it will be big data for your computer in terms of the technical requirements. That's why he said when it becomes difficult to store, difficult to share, difficult to search, then and also to use your traditional management tools to be able to analyze it. It becomes large and complex data. For that given infrastructure you are looking at and your skill set, then it can be considered as big data. You see, so he actually starts the argument by saying that there, there is no threshold or size when we say that big data we can consider or classify something as big data. And that is the fun part of it. It's what you're trying to say. This is the difficult part of it. But so in the conclusion, that data in hundreds of terabytes automatically becomes big data. That means that irrespective of your machine, at certain levels, it's already big data. That's what I said earlier that at terabytes and is it petabytes level, you are already getting to big data. You're already at big data. Terabytes and petabytes.
Yeah. Prof, you also didn't clarify. The person that asked the question asked if data has to satisfy all the 5
Good. That one was a different part. That's what I wanted to start telling you, that if it becomes so, you can actually have the volume dominating and it becomes big data. If 1 terabyte of information is coming to you every minute, it becomes big data. Even if it's structured, it's coming to you that much, that fast. The volume, and you can't manage it, and you cannot store it easily. They are having big data. So that's what you're trying to point out. And especially when the information is coming at a rate at which you can't really handle it, then you are possibly having big data in that scenario. That's why I say it's very technical and contextual. Let me read it again. If it becomes difficult to store, search, and analyze and share, etc., that if it becomes difficult to manage at the rate it is coming to you. Now, and it gives an example that now, if 1 terabyte of data is coming to me every day, I will not, my Dell server will not survive. So I'll start asking questions, and that means that at the end of the day, there's no rule on defining big data based on the volume, because now it's becoming that much, and I cannot handle it. So one of the things can dominate and in my argument based on what we are discussing today, if one can dominate and take that lead and make it become big data, but in terms of research of what I've seen, my student did a big data thesis. What I saw, he was studying the health insurance sector in Ghana. What I've seen in here is that it's a combination of at least 2 or 3 of the veins. That makes it. And he added one more vein to it. I forgot what he said. He added, after he finished P, he added one more vein. I forgot. This is about 6 years ago or 7 years ago. 2012. Yeah, he finished years ago. Almost 10 years ago, yeah. 22. He added one more vein to it. I'll find it. I'll find that. I'll let him come and do a presentation to us. That'll be good. I'll tell him to come and do a presentation to us. But now he's doing more wonderful things now. Yeah, with the developing more applications for government and other institutions across Africa. So at certain levels, I agree with you that the one of them could be, but in that study, I saw that it was about 2 or 3. A combination of them is what makes it become. But you see, if I say the volume and speed is what I mentioned. The volume is there and the speed at which the volume is called 2. So I've said 2. 2 of them is what is dominating and is making it big data. Please, Solace, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But please, I beg you, the way the technology is changing, I'm a professor that doesn't believe that my mind is the only mind. So that's why I told you to bring the ChatGPT to class next time, because something that was a truth last week, because of the technologies we are seeing today, and right now I know that quantum computing is made possible by the new chips that Google itself has released. So a lot of things have been debunked. And it's making things very difficult for us to the textbook that we read last week or last year, it doesn't hold. Some chapters doesn't hold anymore, because as we keep on moving, new truths are being found. So I write, if like MIT that is using ChatGPT to teach computer science. I believe there's a future that we will end up coming to class and we just sit by ChatGPT and teach us everything. That's why I brought it to class today, that please use it. Let's use it together. But because I'm doing presentation, I cannot stop and go and use it. So I want you to use it for yourself. Yeah. But I use Quora for this one because I wanted a question and answer. And I typed the question the gentleman asked, and this is the answer that came. And it's quite interesting. There are about 700 different answers there. And stuff. But we don't have time to read through. But we will look at it. I've shared it with you. You can look at it, then we can discuss it later. Thank you very much. Class, is that okay? Can I go ahead?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we just come to our web data is now being attached to a lot of things. So data security, data privacy. But data security is a component of information security that it focuses much more on the data, such as unauthorized access, unauthorized alteration, unauthorized theft. Or theft can always be unauthorized. So theft, alteration, and unauthorized access. We don't want these things to happen. So because what do we do? Like I mentioned earlier, we put in technical measures and procedural measures to be able to protect the data. So sometimes we put access controls in our offices and encryption to be able to secure our data. Encryption is even on your WhatsApp. Yeah. Please, there are some people in the waiting room. Can you bring them in? It's getting very hot here. Very, very interesting here. So bring them in. But when you look at privacy is more about giving individuals their ownership and control of their personal information, even in the workplace, how it is handled, how it is stored, ensuring that the individuals can retain ownership and control. They can say that you can have access to my page or not have access to my page. Now, it's about the rights of the individuals and ensuring that their personal data is not accessed or shared without their consent. So you can have, in an organizational context, you can have security without having privacy. You have secured the data, but the way you handle it is not securing their privacy. So sometimes even your own information that's not supposed to be known by another person in the office gets to be known. I don't know when somebody has experienced that before. That somebody finds you thought you are the only person who knows that this may be health issue that you told HR, and it went on to you bought the report from the office. Then you get to the next morning, you go to the chat to your friends. Oh, sorry about your situation. Then you ask what situation. Oh, like we heard. Where did we hear it from? Mean that the HR has talked, or somebody has chanced upon the material and has read that report, and then he's telling you something about it. So it means at that point in time, even though the data of the institution is secure, the privacy has been breached. I shared something with HR. I didn't share it with the whole office. So why are the people in the office congratulating me or feeling sorry for me? Has anybody experienced that kind of thing where your privacy was breached within the same environment of the office or institution that you were in? Sometimes it can be that IT becomes the big brother who is reading people's emails and kind of quarantine them as part of the security measure in the office. But sometimes they end up reading things that they're not supposed to read. Yes, Diana, you can go ahead.
Yes, sir. An example is like, for example, what you're saying about the HR. I told the HR I was doing my master's. She didn't share it. And he just came there. Hey, so master took class. And then, it's like, and he's
This
also
one there.
enrolled in the same master's course. And then he's like, hey, now master took class. And everyone was just looking at me. And I was like, ready. So
And
that's an
I know what you're
example.
saying. What you're saying is actually an issue because this one is not about hacking. This is human hack. The mouth of the person has got to hack and share the information. But there are the behavioral part of security that is difficult to manage. For example, and just as she was saying, I remember I was working at one of the universities in Ghana. We had an office in Accra, and we had the building that we had in Accra. It had 5 floors. On the fifth floor, we we have the computer center, the computer unit that was managing student data. So student information center, something like that. And you come, that's where we store your transcript, we store your results and stuff. And there was one machine there. One morning when we came to work, we realized that the system unit has been stolen. And we asked our fifth floor, how can somebody take the same unit? Apparently, the person used to use the dustbin, that those big dustbins that we use for carrying waste and rubbish, and then we offload into the big trucks. So the one with the wheels. The person carried them, put it in, and put rubbish and stuff on top of it, and just used the left, came down and pushed it out of the premises. Now, this one, they have stolen both our information and our data. Everything was carried away. And it's human being. It didn't hack it. The system was carried away. So it's not about hacking. It's about carrying the whole system away. So sometimes human behavior, the human being himself can become the threat to the security or threat to our privacy. That human being as an individual was a threat to your personal information. Whilst in my scenario, it was threat to our data security. So we are threats to data security and threats to our privacy. But when we talk about governance, governance is the one that sits above everything, trying to secure both our data and our data, ensure data security and data privacy. But it's not just about that, but it's trying to establish something to guide the organization so that from the day we collect the data to the day we expunge the data or erase it or decommission the data, we are secure and we are also ensuring privacy. So the governance is not just about just processing of the data. It starts from collecting the data. Even thinking about how to collect the data, governance is part of it. And thinking about how to decommission the data or the system that carries the data, governance is part of it. So it's the whole data life cycle. It's not just one part of it. Now, so it encompasses both the data security and privacy, ensuring they are implemented and enforced too. It also actually tells us the roles of people, what they will be doing in there. Now, data protection is much more broader because it covers both your personal and your non-personal data. It also covers both organizational data and personal data. So the data is not just about organization, but it's protection of the whole entire, establishing standards of protection for the entire country, or for the institution that we are kind of subscribing to. So, for example, in the EU has a data act that can protect the whole EU about how we manage data and how we transfer data and use data within the EU. The same thing in Ghana, we have got Data Protection Act, and that is supposed to protect the data and how we use it. So all data handlers, those who collect it, whether you're private sector or public sector, how are you going to manage the data? How are you going to use the data? How are you going to ensure that citizen privacy can be protected, and then the organizational data too can be protected. What is acceptable, what's not acceptable? All of this is captured within the Protection Act that we have. So data protection can be seen as a combination of data security and data privacy measures. But it's not just at the individual level or the organizational level. It can be seen at the countrywide as a national level. Now, I remember I'll be sharing some reports with you later, but I was in a data governance in Africa workshop or conference, and then we had a presentation from one of the countries. I think it was Mauritius, and they were talking about the fact that the data commission or the commission, the protection commission, by support of the government, have been training people to protect people's data and educate others. So there are kind of data consultants or data evangelists. They go around to SMEs, to different people, enterprises, and NGOs and entrepreneurs, and train them on data awareness, data privacy, data security, so that, and then help them to build their own data governance frameworks within their firms or within your organization, whichever level that you are in, and what to work for your organization. And then the nation pays them for that. And I thought that was a very interesting phenomenon, because I was saying that, oh, that means that we are aware that data is the new oil, and we as a country, we are putting in safeguards to protect that data, so that we are all conscious of how we use the data in the country. And I thought it's a laudable initiative. Maybe we can consider that later, especially we are thinking the way we are integrating data in our economy now. Now, information security is broader because information security covers both data and then the information. And some of the information can be on paper. Like I told you about what happened in the school, that information that was on that system, including the data, were all carried away. So when you talk about information security, you cannot just use technical. Sometimes you have to have fiscal measures to be able to protect the data, because the data may be in paper, it may be on a device, and you have to protect the device itself from being stolen or from being taken by somebody. Okay. Those of you who have been watching Mission Impossible, don't you realize that the whole data is about devices, apart from data that can be intercepted online and in transit in terms of whilst it's being transferred. The data itself can be an entity or can be an individual. I think there's a movie by Kevin Hart on oh on Netflix last year, came last year, which was about an art heist, but the person had to the art was decoded in a, I think was encrypted in some particular code, and the code was in a person's head. So they stole the human being to be able to get the art. They stole to be able to, I think, decipher the artwork. They have to steal the whole human being, the guy, the programmer who did it. So sometimes information security just goes beyond just the data, but it may be where is the data embodied, domiciled? Where is it embodied? Is it in a human being? Is it in a device? And that becomes very, very critical to protect. Even in banks, if you watch some of the movies that have been out there in terms of bank heists and bank robberies, sometimes they have to go and capture the bank manager and then ask and get the security codes from the person, because the security of the place is in the code which is in the head of three people or four people, and each person has to enter their numbers before the vault will open. So that's the kind of way of getting all of them at the premise or getting the codes from them to use. Sometimes it has to be it's biometric. It's coming from something, an extension of the person's body, either the eye, the finger, the thumbprint, or something like that. So in an era of this type of breaches, companies are looking for more sophisticated ways in providing security, and they are using many types of access controls to protect the data that we have. In a nutshell, security is not just about it's not just technical, it's also procedural, and now today we have heard it's also behavioral, as we have seen example coming from the lady that shared about what about her information was shared in the office in a way that was unsettling for her. Data privacy is about you having control of who has control over the ownership and the appropriate usage of your own information, and giving consent on how that information that's personal to you will be used or will be accessed by others. Whilst data governance tries to become the framework that tries to bring all of these things together. Good. Now, already, which is a research agency, the technology research agency, defines data governance as a management function that seeks to assure us of our data, assure us of that we can trust the data by ensuring quality, integrity, security, usability of the data which is collected by the organization. Now, what it tries to do is that it tries to point out that when we are talking about governance of a data, you are trying to ensure that the measures you are putting in place is making the data only accessed by permitted users and in the permitted way or authorized pathways or means. Number two, that data itself is auditable, and then it meaning that any type of change that we do in that data, it's logged and we can be able to trace it. And lastly, it's compliant with the regulations of the organization or the institution, and sometimes even beyond the sector that it belongs to. So compliance, auditability, and then accessibility or permitted accessibility is what we are talking about in terms of data governance in this one definition. If we look at it in terms of an example in an organization, what we want to try and do is that we want to make sure that whatever we do, whatever measures we bring, can we ensure trust in the data, that this data we are sharing, we can trust the data, and the data itself is secure, the data itself is compliant, and its use and its access, and all the measures that we use that allows us to be able to access the data is something that we can be able to stand by and say that, oh, there's the assurance of good governance over this data. There's assurance of good governance over this data. To be able to do that, we have to look at certain principles that can govern the data. But before I talk about the principles, let me give another case study. Would you believe that this Spotify that we used to listen to our music was built because of data governance? It's one of the stories about data governance. For a very long time, the world was having a big challenge of music piracy. Even in Ghana, we're having that music piracy, that people were pirating people's music and then playing it all over the place. So what they did is that the Spotify's entire business model is built on the notion that we can provide a platform in which your music is on it and your music is secure. People can have secure access to it, and you can track how they interact with your music. So we are giving opportunity for your music to be used in a way that you yourself can be able to see that there is value in there's some value that's being created around your music, and you can track that value and who is using your music, who is interacting with your music. So it's about the governance of the music as data, or the governance of music data is what gave birth of Spotify. So if you look at it very carefully on the Spotify platform, for example, you can be able to play music and then listen to it from different artists. For this one, this is one of the I manage one music platform music group called Believe or Hope, and they do such different types of songs. Now, if you look at this one, you can see some of their popular songs being listed here and some of their albums in here. Now, what they do, it tells you you can track and know how many songs have been listened to in a particular month, and then be able to know how many people and in the data you can study the cities that the people are listening to the music from, the time they listen to the music, the country they're coming from, and then the languages they speak, the gender of of the people, and then the playlist that is the source of the music, whether they even use a mobile phone or they're using a computer or they are playing from the web. You can be able to do all this analysis. So data governance is a business opportunity that people don't realize. You can build businesses out of data governance. And today we have looked at some examples of some of the breaches that have been going on. And I think that the breaches are an opportunity for some of you to do business. For example, you can have a data compliance consultancy. Some of you can collaborate and set up your own auditing service. That's if you get your auditing license as an IS auditor. Even if you don't have that one, you can also be a person who is doing data cleanup and management. Quite a number of people do this. And data training and capacity build, like I mentioned in Mauritius, what they are doing, they're helping SMEs to be able to build data compliance readiness and data governance readiness. And then you have got data security solutions, which you can provide. So as a entrepreneur, you can do quite a number of them. Two of them that I can even mention from the top of my head is one, developing compliance guides for companies and selling it to them. It's possible. If you get control the course, we'll teach you how to develop a data governance policy, which can then have an offshoot as a guide that can be used within certain context of business or society or for an NGO or for an entrepreneurial firm or a small business. But you can go and you can offer that service to them after you have learned it from the class. And then blogging or content creation, you can have your own page or start a YouTube channel focused on data governance. I know there are quite a number of channels that talk about how to troubleshoot your laptop, how to do this on your laptop and stuff. You can also start your own on just data governance. Who knows where it will take you? Or two or three of you can actually collaborate and do such a thing. So there is opportunity to start business as a data governance expert. So what are the principles? Now, already talked about the fact that when you talk about ensuring trust of data, three things tend to matter: discoverability of the data, security of the data, and accountability. So when we talk about discoverability, we are looking at how we manage our metadata, how we ensure veracity or the quality of data, and how we also manage our master data. Okay. Now, another question that somebody asks that maybe you should go and look into: what is the difference between master data and metadata? Go and look at that. I can use any of the platforms to search for it. We are not going to test you on this, but I'm just telling you that it's good for you to understand, appreciate the terminologies. Then you have got classification control. Who has access? And has access to what? I know some of your offices, you have got different functional areas, and some of the functional areas have their own IT head or somebody to support them on IT. And some of the functional areas may also have an interface with consumers. So it means that the data from that particular unit may not just be internal, it may also be one that's coming from external. Okay. Then you have got security that covers the privacy and then the data security itself. Then you have got accountability. Who are we accountable to? Which unit, which division are you accountable to? And that's domain-based governance. So sometimes in some institutions, certain units have their own governance mechanisms to govern the data there. For example, HR. Let's look at HR as an example. Now, just imagine, like she said earlier, you are in a company. You join the company. HR collects your data, the date of hire, your employee name, things concerning you, your private information about you. Then you can also have the restricted information like your salary, your date of birth. It's all those things that you want to make available to everybody. Your next of kin, certain type of information in the HR database may be just for you. Now, what happens is that when the data has been collected, we need to classify them. Some of them may be internal for internal use, some of them may be restricted. Now, what happens is all employees have got access to their own data, but they may need to do it read only after they have joined the firm. So they may need to do read only. If there's a spelling mistake in your name, or for example, a female, like in the investor guy, a female gets married, they want to change the name from maybe Quino to let's say Blankson. She may have to get an affidavit, and then she may have to get is it oh is that affidavit the one that you go to this place to go and do
Gazette.
Gazetted, good. Yeah, Gazette, good. And then you bring it. But after you bring the Gazette, there are still a number of things you have to do in University of Ghana. You have to write a letter, and then because the University of Ghana usually wants to establish that your name is the same name that you are using throughout because of the fact that people impersonate others for degrees. So usually it's very difficult to change if you did your first degree or your master's in a particular name and you want to change it. So after you gazetted it, you have to bring it and go through appropriate procedures through the academic office and get it and the university notified. Then they can change in the system. And sometimes they may write your full name and write in the bracket previously known as this so that everybody can track that you are the same person who was also known as maybe this surname too. But it's possible. I'm not saying it's not entirely possible. It's possible. I know one student who has done it before. She finished her PhD and she wanted to change it, and she got it gazetted so that I can change the PhD. She can graduate as the marriage name, the name she obtained when she got married. By the time she started her PhD, she was not yet married. By the time she finished, she was now married, so she had to change the name. So it happens. Now, what may be open to others may not be open to other people. For example, a payroll manager does not need to know other information, for example, concerning your maybe your appraisal, but you just need to know your account number to be able to make and your salary that you're supposed to pay to be able to instruct that payment should be made. However, a people manager or a line manager may be need may necess- may need to know your job requirements, may need to know your deliverables, whether you'll be able to get certain work that was assigned to you done. And then you may recommend that maybe you should get if your time is promotions, I may recommend that you should be promoted or not promoted, or your salary should be increased or not increased. So sometimes a people manager may have access to the salary to or the tier that you belong to. So he knows that you're on tier 2 in the company, or tier 3, or grade 4, tier 1, or tier 2. Because some companies have got certain grades and certain tiers in terms of salaries. So when he can then be able to assess periodically and point out that whether you are doing the right thing for your promotion to be extended to you. Good. So not all the information collected by HR should be accessible to everybody. Some of the information is not held for everyone. It's for just the employee and then the HR. Other information may be employee, HR, and maybe some of the personnel. Okay. I was just using it as an example. So what are the data governance principles? Okay. Now, there are people who are the stakeholders of the data. And the stakeholders of the data, the first person is called the governor. Usually it may be the person who is the data is that we have he's accountable for that data. So it belongs to that person. Sometimes we also call the person data owner. Then we also have the approvers or data stewards. The members of a team that may be working with the database or system or application, and they can do certain changes on the system. So we call them the data steward. And then you can also have the user, the one who is actually being empowered by the system to take action based on that particular platform. He's the data user. And then you are also in some scenario you have the knowledge worker. Those who, I said, I'm employees who will be required to have certain access of the information for certain functional purposes. So if I've got knowledge workers, some of them can be a marketing knowledge worker. So they work with the marketing data. They have a finance knowledge worker. They work with the finance data. So, and in some institutions, you the finance cannot go and work on the other data coming from the other unit unless there is appropriate permissions given to you. So think about it that in some firms, the data is open to all, and some even internally, internal data is open to all, sometimes not open to all. So the first, as I said, is the governor or the data owner, the one that is responsible for defining the overall strategy and policy and standards within the organization. Then the steward, responsible for day-to-day management and oversight of specific data sets to ensure that data quality, integrity, and compliance procedures are established. Okay. So after data steward, we have got data custodian. Custodians are responsible for the technical implementation and management of data storage. That's the backend, the infrastructure, the security, and storage and backing up and protection of the organizational data. Then lastly, we have the data user, the one who is going to use the data for their job function. Now let me ask a question. Which of them do you think you are in your organization and why? Sometimes somebody can hold two roles. Which of them do you think you are in your organization and why? Yes, quickly. Yeah, is anybody's hand up? I've closed my screen. I'm just having to let me look for it. I can't see the. Okay. Oh, but all of you, none of you has deals with data. Which of you, Eunice, don't you deal with data? Which of or you are a user? Philip Kwesi, Ajate, you have not talked today. Which of them are you? Are you an owner, a steward, a custodian in your office?
Data owner.
Data owner.
So I have a small scale business, and then
okay.
Day to day, we collect data. So primarily, I set which type of data to be collected and for what we will use it for. So I take the data owner.
Okay. Very, very good. Very, very. Kwame and Pimnago, which of them are you?
Sir. So I'm a data user. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I've heard you. See, you are a data user. That's good. Daniel Lamte.
Yes.
Yes, sir. A custodian and then a user as well.
Wow, that's a big jump. A custodian and a user. Okay. Anyway. So you are the back end storing and backing up. And then in the front end, you also use it for other things.
Yes, and then we also depend on data from other functions. So in that aspect, I become a user. But in the entire data pool, every function contributes towards that big pool.
Okay. Okay. So the Data Governance Institute, which is kind of a global body that kind of established standards for data governance, has pointed out that every data governance policy should or measures in organization should try to achieve these 8 principles. 1, integrity of the data, transparency, auditability, stewardship, accountability, check and balances, standardization, and change management. Integrity, that the participants will practice integrity in all their dealings with each other and then be truthful and forthcoming when discussing drivers, constraints, options, and impacts for data related decisions. So there have to be a pledge of integrity, and you have to put in measures to ensure integrity of your employees when you sign up? Then you got transparency. Data governance and stewardship processes will exhibit transparency. It should be clear to all participants and auditors how and when the data-related decisions and controls were introduced or how it to be used. Quite a number of institutions, sometimes certain data decisions are made and others don't know anything about it. So transparency is an important principle that we expect to have. Okay. Okay. Then we also have accountability. Data-related decisions, processes, and controls subject to data governance will be auditable. We mentioned this earlier. And then when something is auditable, it should also be accompanied by documentation to support compliance-based and operational auditing requirements. Okay, let me give you an example. In University of Ghana, when we enter your results, and the student receives his mark, there's a grade that is C. So the student sees only the grade, doesn't see the actual mark. But if a student wants to challenge the mark, the university says that the student should rather write a letter and apply for remarking. That's if you want to remarking. And if you go for remarking, you have to pay for it. And the lecturer, that your script will be given to somebody else to mark. And the mark that you get is what will be communicated to you. Now, possibly, the person to be given to may not be the person who taught you. That person cannot mark it again. They may give it to somebody else. But when they give to that person else, you notice that the person does not have the contextual understanding of how you were taught in class. So you mark it as a generic answer that has been given to the course in case it belongs to whoever it is. But what happens is that sometimes the students don't know that maybe the lecturer even dashed you some marks because he wrote something that he remembered that he taught you in class. So you are fighting that you got B, you want to get B plus, and you have asked for remarking. If you're not very careful, the remarking, by the time you finish, you're not getting C. But the process is there for us to check it. But under no circumstances, checks and balances, under no circumstances, are you, the lecturer, supposed to show the script of the lecture student to the student? And even to divulge the actual mark. He can see A and B, but he cannot divulge the actual mark. Can you imagine that I come and tell you he got 79? How do you feel about this man, pa? If he added just one, I would have moved to A. And he just added one, and he didn't give me added one. But if I tell you, if you come up and say I got B plus is 70 to 79. So you don't know whether you got 71.2, 70.0, 79.5. You don't know. However, and also when we finish marking, you take your moderated, you take your marks, you enter into a sheet and take it to the department for moderation. So other lecturers look at your marks and see whether there is a curve. I'm telling you, it is that you know why you get someone. And the curve means that is the marks fairly distributed? Is there not a skew? If there's a skew and there are so many A's, if it's undergrad, the university says that it cannot be like that. So you have to work on it. And that is so you see that the lecturer is marking and giving so many A's just like that, or the students really deserve it. So sometimes it's very difficult. For example, I have 3 students, I finish marking. How can I say that all the marks should be fairly distributed? Again, everybody get A. You have to allow the person to go. But you have 1,000 students, and in the uniform distribution, those of you do statistics, there has to be a curve. So there will be some numbers, a good number, like a bell-shaped curve, where a peak is in the middle, around B's, a lot of B's, a lot of this. So the curve is shaped like that. So a few A's climbing up, and the B's are where the bell is, or it looks like a pregnant person or something like that, and then it's up there. Then it falls again, having fewer people failing. But some people's curve can be that less people pass, and then pour a lot of 50s. Then to change that, so then the university tell what your curve is not there. The curve is not there. So go and look. We audit your marks, and you take it to go and look at it again. Sometimes you can be told to move everybody who got 79 to 80. That is sometimes by the audit, by those who are auditing you, and you are audited by other faculties. So, for example, I'm in OMIS faculty department, so I may be audited by Prof. Wusu or Professor Awuni, and Professor Awuni can recommend, or Professor another professor in the department or another lecturer in the department. So they can advise that all your 69s, all the 9999s, make them move them to 8. Then you see that's why somebody just, hey Charlie, hey, I got A. But the A that you got, maybe you actually got 79, but because you went for moderation, we have moved you. So sometimes accountability happens because we put checks and balances in the system, and that's to be able to manage the data. So one of the principles, those principles of the accountability is important. Accountability, that is accountable to others. Now, and this is very important for cross-functional data related decisions. Data that is cutting across different functions, and not just only cross-functional data, but data that also pertains to sensitive issues or sensitive stakeholders, or our core or critical stakeholders that we, or primary stakeholders that we work with. Like you, the student, you are a primary stakeholder. So any data about you, you know, we are supposed to keep your data according to the data protection to up to about 6 years. I think the university is also about 6 years. We cannot destroy the data, and we cannot destroy your mark sheet. So that anytime there's a problem, we can audit it and check. Now, those of you who are also said, does it mean that if I got a mark, I can't go and challenge? What you can do is can humbly ask the lecturer that you got 65, and which is B, and you think you can get a B plus, but if you can humbly, you are humbly asking, you can check again. Because we are human beings. In entering the results, we can type 58 instead of 65, or there are, let's say there are about 200 students or 150 students, and as you are entering the marks, you enter let's say Amma Dixon and Adra Dixon. So Adra Dixon will come before Amma in terms of the alphabetical order. If I'm entering by name, name, I'm not entering by index number. Now, what if as I'm entering the marks, one of them got 75 and the other person got 76? I could also make mistakes in which instead of typing the 76, I type the 75 there. So sometimes in entering the marks, we can make mistakes. I say in entering the marks, we can make mistakes. So you have to be wise in the way you approach your lecture, and kindly ask him to look at it for you. So, and in that case, you are asking the lecturer to do a double check on whether you really got it, because you believe that you did your assignments. Sometimes the lecturer may not tell you. As he goes to check, he realizes that he can't find your assignment marks. So all that you are seeing there is based on the exam. So when he finds your assignment mark, he can then go and input it and then change. But as soon as he enters the mark already, the university has taken note of it. If he goes to change, the university will put a log on it that this result has been changed. And the university can summon the lecturer and say that, explain why you, after entering Amma Dixon or Anita Dixon's marks, you came back 2 days after to come and change it and even increase it. The university can call any lecturer and do that, and they do that quite often. Why? Because we are using that ones as checks and balances to be able to also protect the integrity of the process. So one of the principles is putting in measures so that we can have check and balances between the business and the technology teams, and as well as those who collect the data, and those who manage it or enter it, and those who use it, and those who introduce standards and compliance requirements. Now, what checks and balances does is that even in your own company, the IT head has to be checked. Even though the IT head is the one who is implementing the policy to be able to protect the data, he also has to be checked so that he doesn't actually also end up taking people's data and using it inappropriately, or somebody's data. Okay, so we have to define accountabilities for everybody within it, and even for the individual contributors and for the stewards that we have. Lastly, we establish standards. Can you imagine having branches across Africa, like even across Ghana, like as was said by the gentleman from Nyaho? What kind of measures are you putting in so that data you collect about a patient is consistent across. Especially if you are using where the machine has broken, they are using a manual form to fill in. Somebody in one hospital you collect first name and other names. Then another hospital you go and collect last name and other names. Those are differences. First name can be Richard. Other names can be the middle name of the person and the surname. Then another place you say you want the surname, Boating, and you want other names. And you say you write Richard and you write other names. Maybe he's called Kwame now. You just Richard Kwame now or something like that. But then another person also has first name, other names, and then surname. That naming nomenclature can actually cause confusion even in the database because of the way people collect it. And sometimes they say name, they just leave it name. Now, if you leave name, the problem you have is that somebody can write Boateng Richard, another person writes Dixon Anita, another person writes Anita Dixon. So they have mixed the first and second name. And if you are not very intelligent and have contextual knowledge, you may not know. One of the challenges I've had in database management is Nigerian names. Olumide Longe, which of them is the same name, which is the first name? Because in some places, then Longe is somebody's first name, and another place, Olumide is somebody's second name. So Olumide Longe, do you know whether the Olumide is the first name or second name? Can't even tell. And they can Olumide Longe Baba Tope. So then that even makes it worse. Because you don't know which of them, and they call him, Dr. Professor Longe, Professor Longe. So all of a sudden, you all think that he's called Professor Longe, and if Longe is the same name. Only for him to come and write his actual name, and he writes Baba Tobe Longe Olumide. Where the Olumide is rather the last name. So standardization is very, very important in managing data, and especially across the institutions. Then in times of change, what measures are you going to put in place? How do we get data changed, altered, or appropriately changed within the university? Okay. Now, what we have, what we actually say is that don't just focus on reactive measures. When people go and do something and come back and react, try and put in measures to also be proactive. Anticipate the types of changes that can happen with the data within the workplace, and try to put in measures to facilitate that pathway. University of Ghana, you have to write a letter to your HOD, to the dean. The dean writes to the provost writes to the Vice Chancellor academic. Then they will give you access and permission to go into the system to make the change. And you have to justify with the change you are trying to make. But if you go into the system and just make this window period, and you make a change right now, you can be written to by the university and explain why I'm going to do the change. If you're able to explain, you can have that. We can set up investigation. We have had situations in which certain changes happen, and we go and find out because some people want to talk to some lecturers, and for other type of favors, the lecturer just change their results for them, and it can create a big problem in the university. So we have put all these measures to be able to make sure that we can trust the data. We can trust the data. We can trust the data that we have. So thank you very much. And thanks for your audience. Today you spent much time in the engagement, and we also didn't start on time because people are now logging on. But next week we'll try and finish by 9:30 or by 9:15 so that we can have enough time. But thank you very much for our discussions today. I've learned a lot myself. I hope you have learned something yourself too.
Yes,
Yeah,
Prof. We've learned a
A
lot.
lot.
Thank you
Oh,
too, Prof.
okay.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Patience Morrison, is it the first time you're talking today? Patience, please
No,
go
Prof,
ahead. Go ahead.
I've spoken now, so I know you've given me some marks for contributing.
Don't worry. Don't. But this class, I'm so happy with you. I'm not. The other classes, I had to be strict and be putting because nobody will talk.
So I know we all get it. It's a
Oh,
sign
you.
we all
You're
get
being, you're being,
Oh, as for this class, mabe.
you're
Prof,
Yeah,
Prof,
very far.
Prof,
But
thank you for today,
but
but
remember, there's a curve. Oh, there's a curve.
I have a concern. Prof,
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
please, I have a concern.
Yeah.
I happen to be part of the access students,
Okay.
and our data security and privacy results are still not in. We have all the others except that. So last time I complained to Dr. Agozie. We were taken by Dr. Agozie.
Okay.
And then he said he drew your attention and you mentioned that you had submitted all the results, so you don't know why ours is not showing. And so I just wanted to draw your attention to the fact that it seems that in the whole group, all of us are not having our data security and privacy results showing. So if you can please look at it for us.
Okay, I'll look at it for you. I'm coming. Just give me a second. Let me see something. I'm surprised because we submitted all of this today. Anyway. And Prof, I wouldn't talked about it with me, and I said, you you already have all the data that we are giving to you. And just give me a second. I want to log on to the university system and see the records when I have access to it. Okay, just
Okay.
Prof, please, can you pause the recording or stop it?